Tonight on OTV News, Muskingum students used their day off to provide service in the local area.
A former Muskingum coach talks about his new book, and the Wild is keeping their animals warm this winter. All that and more tonight, only on OTV News. Hello everyone, I'm John Webb.
And I'm Carissa Kent. Police sent out a meta alert to Muskingum students, and the alert notified students of a stranger on campus this afternoon at 3:21 p.m. According to campus police, 2 suspects were apprehended at the New Concord Reservoir. The campus was deemed safe at 4:04 p.m. The Muskingum County Sheriff could not be reached for comment at this time.
On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, over 150 students, along with faculty and staff, participated in a day of service for the surrounding communities. Orbit Media News correspondent Marty Kurtz has student reactions on how their volunteer day went.
On Monday, January 19th, Muskingum held a day of service in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Many students woke up early on their day off to help serve the community in places like the local food pantry and the Bethel Community Center. Students gathered in the bottom of the Chess Center before 10 a.m., checked in, and were split into about 13 groups. Those groups then were sent to numerous locations to help serve, so all involved had different reactions and experiences to their day of service.
I went around the halls, knocking on people's doors, waking them up to ask them questions for candy about and the questions are about Martin Luther.
We went to the child care center on campus, and we helped them with cleaning toys and reading them a story, and just general maintenance to help them.
I didn't have anything else to do today, so I decided why not do community service.
There were over 150 students that participated in the day of service. There are so many students registered that the registration was closed a few days beforehand. After the day of service, some of the volunteers went and watched the movie Selma, again in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. For Orbit Media News, I'm Marty Kurtz.
Gas prices are still down from $2, which means people in New Concord are paying less at the pump. According to Professor of Economics Joe Nowakowski, reasons for the decline could include an increase in the fracking industry and a decline in the global economy. Fracking has created an alternative energy source, lowering the demand for oil. Nowakowski also noted that the United States has lower gas prices than other industrialized countries. While the U.S. doesn't consider the price lower until they fall below $2, other countries consider prices below $4 to be lower than average. Although drivers are celebrating now, Nowakowski claims that the low prices are likely to rise in the global economy changes. But it is hard to determine since we can't predict the future of other economies.
I've definitely taken advantage of the low gas prices.
As have I. And up next, Muskie legend Jim Burson shares his coaching wisdom, and Orbit Media News correspondent Josie James gets a closer look at winter at the Wild.
New Concord Village Council meets every second Monday of the month, but you don't have to go. You can catch it on Orbit TV the week of council at 7, noon, and 7. Tune in and be up to date on all things New Concord, only on Orbit Television.
Can't make it to chapel? Tune in on Orbit TV to catch the weekly chapel service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship, worship, and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
The New Concord Police Department expects to arm their officers with HD body cameras. The new equipment will be implemented by March 1st. Chief of Police Trevor Hayes says that there's a growing trend in the law enforcement to suit officers with body cameras, and the department wants to keep up with legislation that is attempting to mandate body cameras for all officers in the state. This isn't the first attempt to use body cameras to accurately capture incidents that police officers report to Chief Hayes. Says that the cameras have better improved the service of the officers. According to Hayes, improvements in the technology have made it possible to reenact the use of the cameras. Although Chief Hayes denies that the new cameras are directly connected to the situations like those in Ferguson, Missouri, He does explain that those situations weren't ignored when the decision was made to enact the body camera usage within the New Concord Police Department.
Muskingum University Library Author Talk presented a lecture by Dr. Jim Burson, a former Muskingum University head basketball coach and professor, on Thursday, January 15th. Burson is the author of The Golden Whistle, Going Beyond, The Journey to Coaching Success, which follows Ted Failer, a coach in his prime, and Little K, his student assistant, as Failer discovers how to be a great coach. Burson founded Nike's Coaches Learning Academy, which evaluates Nike's prestigious skills academies and elite youth basketball league. Burson was an all-time top 10 Division III coach in the NCAA.
During the winter season, some may wonder how wild animals deal with the frigid Ohio temperatures. Orbit Media News correspondent Josie James stopped around with some friendly rhinos at the wilds to see how they kept warm.
Here at the wilds, there are multiple facilities dedicated to winter housing for animals that are from warmer climates. In order to keep the exotic animals of the wilds warm and safe from the frigid terrors of winter, the wilds has many facilities used for winter housing for animals that may not be prepared for the different types of climates than what they are used to. The Wilds is a nonprofit conservation center in Cumberland, Ohio. What is now known as one of North America's largest conservation centers was once just 10,000 acres of reclaimed mine land. The Wilds is home to many endangered species from around the world. Some of these species come from parts of the world with warm climates. Michelle Clausen, who is part of the animal management team, explains.
The most significant facilities are our rhino barns and giraffe barns. We have 2 rhino barns currently, hoping to build a 3rd. They need complete enclosure if it's very cold so we can shut it. It also has radiant floor heat, and we keep it about 70 degrees in the winter. They do get out some on days like today when it's up in the 30s. They can't get out. The giraffes also have a building that is closed, completely temperature controlled, up to probably around 75.
Other more cold-tolerant species have enclosed barns with overhead heaters and are able to go in and outside as they please. No matter where the animals are housed for the winter, they are cared for by the animal management team on a regular basis. For Orbit Media News, I'm Josie James.
After the break, a Cincinnati bridge collapses, Bill Cosby's on-screen son speaks out, and Washington officials test drones.
New Concord Village Council meets every second Monday of the month, but you don't have to go. You can catch it on Orbit TV the week of council at 7, noon, and 7. Tune in and be up to date on all things New Concord, only on Orbit Television.
Can't make it to chapel? Tune in on Orbit TV to catch the weekly chapel service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship, worship, and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
Federal investigators are going through evidence from a deadly overpass collapse. Brandon Carl was killed Monday night when parts of a Cincinnati bridge fell to the ground, crushing him. OSHA representatives are trying to understand why it happened and who is to blame. John London has more.
OSHA says it will take weeks or months to determine the cause, but it's already certain the death of construction worker Brandon Carl was preventable. Artemis video released today shows the bridge collapse, difficult to distinguish from a distance, but if you look on the left side of your screen, our camera close-up shows the progression. Right side, the east side giving way first, the left side right after that, then the equipment Carl was spotting falls on him. Here's an even closer look. The east side of the bridge drops, a beat later the western portion, then the excavator crushes Carl. The coroner tells us he was likely unconscious and perhaps dead immediately. An autopsy lists blunt force trauma to torso, head, and extremities.
We're going to be interviewing in more detail the witnesses and co-workers on this job.
OSHA's area director has theories about what happened but needs proof to support or debunk them. Over 1,000 aerial police photographs are part of the investigative process. Kokosing, the project contractor, has tagged evidence before it was removed from the scene. The company turned over more information to OSHA today and will have a representative available on site tomorrow to talk with engineering experts OSHA is bringing in.
We have to question the work process as well as the materials involved, and some of the material damage that occurred. You really need to rely on people who understand failures of the materials and why that may have occurred.
Out of Monday night's tragedy, OSHA could ultimately levy penalties on Kokosing, but it also sees a shared purpose in the twin investigations, trying to ensure that something like this does not happen again.
Candy is next with sports.
Stay tuned.
New Concord Village Council meets every second Monday of the month, but you don't have to go. You can catch it on Orbit TV the week of council at 7, noon, and 7. Tune in and be up to date on all things New Concord, only on Orbit Television.
Can't make it to chapel? Tune in on Orbit TV to catch the weekly chapel service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship, worship, and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
News update. In women's basketball, Angela Darnley recently broke the record for most assists in the game with 13 on December 28th against Denison. The team ultimately lost with a score of 71-63 and is currently trying to break a 9-game losing streak. The 5'7" point guard continues to be a leader for the team, averaging close to 5 assists per game. The women's basketball team will take on Baldwin Wallace at home on Saturday. WMCO has the call at 2:30 for pregame. The men's basketball crushed Capital Wednesday night, 78-57. Leading the Muskies was sophomore Joshua Keys, who scored 14 points. He's also had a career high of 14 rebounds. The Muskies move on to a record of 5-11 overall and 2-7 in the conference. Musking will travel to Berea Saturday to take on Baldwin Wallace. The men's and women's lacrosse teams, as well as other Muskingum University teams, will notice some changes this spring semester in regards to student safety. A safety net has been added to McGonigle Stadium as a precaution. This change has been made so that more than one team can play on the field at the same time, without risk of injury. With the net, both the track teams and the women's lacrosse team can use the field simultaneously. The lacrosse team coaches are hoping that these changes will allow their teams to continually improve as the seasons progress. That's all for sports. Up next is The Hook.
When we come back, take a look at the recruitment program and programs on hiatus.
New Concord Village Council meets every second Monday of the month, but you don't have to go. You can catch it on Orbit TV the week of council at 7, noon, and 7. Tune in and be up to date on all things New Concord, only on Orbit Television.
Can't make it to chapel? Tune in on Orbit TV to catch the weekly chapel service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship, worship, and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
Greek spring recruitment is starting fast here at Muskingum. After the Greek mixer tonight, students will be given open bids from the fraternities and sororities on campus. Students that choose to accept their open bid will have to go through a recruiting process for their potential fraternity or sorority. All organizations, including Phi Tau, are allowed to give out open bids, but Chi Alpha Nu is currently choosing not to and are looking to take this semester to revise their membership process with their current members.
Muskingum University is hosting 3 upcoming scholarship days on January 31st, February 7th, and February 14th. Scholarship Day is an opportunity for prospective students to increase their academic scholarships. Scholarship Day includes a test for students covering logic, current events, and reasoning. This day also features student and faculty panels, interviews, and campus tours. Scholarship Day is also a chance to help students make their final college decision for the fall and gives them a better idea of all the possibilities that Muskingum University has to offer. That's all for this evening. Be sure to check us out on WMCO 90.7 and on OrbitMediaOnline.com.
You can also pick up a copy of the Black and Magenta. Stay tuned for more information up to date on recent campus news. Have a great night, New Concord.